The Philippines is a country in the south of Asia with a history of strict government and extrajudicial killings. An example of their history, during the martial law regime of 1972, as a countermeasure imposed by President Marcos to avoid possible communist takeover, many in office were killed. There were 70,000 arrested, 34,000 tortured, and as many as 3,340 killed during martial law. This lasted until 1981. In 2016, President Duarte took office. His mission was to abolish drugs and reform the country with an iron fist. In the first 6 months in office, more than 6,000 people were killed in this war on drugs during anti-illegal drug police operations or by death squads discreetly commissioned by the government. Today, the death count goes as high as 12,000, with at least 2,555 killed by the Philippines National Police. These killings are wrongfully justified by the Filipino government in case to abolish the using and selling of drugs throughout the country. There have been cases of numbers being tampered with when counting the deaths occurring in public reports. There is evidence of police messing with evidence to have killing or persecution justified. This video is to help viewers understand the polarizing issue and how the government's system affects the course the country is taking. One of the perspectives I chose was data released by the government and analyzed by researchers. One of the analyzed was showing that there are claims where numbers aren't consistent or don't make sense and are overall misleading, such as the amount of users being rehabilitated. In the graph released by the Filipino government, it shows that there are 54 drug rehabilitation centers in the Philippines, with a total of 3,529 bed capacity as of December 31st, 2016. However, in one of their other reports, they claim to have put 10,500 surrendered drug users into rehabilitation, but this does not add up to the 3,529 bed capacity in the country. And what is also concerning is in the graph shown, there has been a total of 1,113 drug users who have surrendered, but there are only 10,500 people who have been rehabilitated. This shows that people in their situations are just being executed or prosecuted, not assisted or rehabilitated, which would be beneficial for a long-term abolishment of drug and drug use.
In lower-class neighborhoods of Manila, death is an everyday effect of the drug war. Many are affected not only emotionally but financially as a result of losing their family members. The events are traumatic, and many have found loved ones dead in their own homes. The executors vanished from thin air. An example is a case where a man was murdered in his home after retiring from work. His son reported 3 men kicking down the front door and entering the home and pointing a gun at him and his younger brother, while the third man shot his father several times even after he was dead, and then laughed and left. According to the New York Times article, they're slaughtering us like animals. Families are unable to afford funerals even with donations and loans. Those who cannot afford funerals for their family members end up having to bury them in mass graves where many other victims of the drug war lie. This clip from BBC following the photographer and reporter Rafi Lerma shows the barbaric scenes left behind by Duarte's death squads. On the night of the highest death tolls, 32 people were killed in raids, and Lerma got the opportunity to speak with family members of the victims.
What were the details that the neighbour told you?
Ano na lang daw po eh. Bigla na lang nagtakbuhan na sumigaw nga daw ang polis. Kung hindi siya masamata, kasi nakaupo lang naman kahit anong kapkap sa kanya, wala namang makukuha eh. Walang makukuhang shabu, marijuana, lalakaw po lang sa niyan eh. Kaya di siya tumakbo. Ako nga, yung naisa na naiwan, kasi yung pinagbabarila raw siya. magbago. Kaya kung talagang mapatunayan, hindi kulong nila. Hindi yung babaril nila na parang nila. Isa lang naman ang buhay natin ng tao. Hindi nila ang pagkakataon na magbago.
This is one of many people living in the Philippines that do in fact support Duterte's war on drugs, despite the amount of killings happening and how it affects the community. But these men do agree that Duterte's men are being irresponsible on how they carry out enforcing the laws. This also shows that some people do support the drug war, but not the executions, that people should be rehabilitated or jailed, but not killed.
Doon na pinutukan. Masaya na po kami ganyan siya.
Masaya po kayo?
Kasi halos lahat dito, totally, ako kaaway niya.
Bakit sir?
So matagal na siyang gumagamit?
Matagal na pong gumagamit yan. Nakaka-take, kami inaaway, mga angkan.
Kung sir nang-aaway, ano kasi ito?
Nagwawala.
Pag nakakagamit.
Nagwawala, pati bahay ng nanay ko sinisira.
In the video shown, there's a man who believes that people should be killed because of the drug war, and he is glad his brother was killed as a result of the drug war. But this is from his own personal experience, and maybe some people have the same experience, but it still does not justify the killing of people, even though 88% of the Philippines does agree with the drug war. According to the Philippines government website, there are 3 branches of government: legislative, judicial, and executive. The judiciary branch has the power to resolve any incidents involving rights that are legally demandable or enforceable. They interpret the meaning of laws and decide whether or not the laws were constitutional, or the situation in question has violated the Constitution. The branch is composed of Supreme Court, which is a board of judges that are appointed by the President. However, the justices of the Supreme Court who can overturn unconstitutional laws are appointed by the President and confirmed by the state. The legislative branch is composed of 2 parts, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate includes 24 senators who are elected by qualified voters of the Philippines. The House of Representatives is composed of 250 House members elected from districts from cities, municipals, and provinces, but also representatives elected through a party list system of registered national, regional, and sectoral parties or organizations. The President can also veto laws passed by Congress. Lastly, the executive branch is composed of the President and Vice President, who are elected by popular vote, whom serve a 1 6-year term. The President appoints their own cabinet, but it is confirmed by the Commission of Appointments. Then, also part of the branch are the executive departments, independent agencies, boards, commissions, and committees. The President is the head of state, the commander-in-chief for all armed forces, the head of national government. I don't think that the government system prevents things like the drug war from happening. It gives most of its political power to the President. He controls committees and commissions, and he's the head of he's the head of state, meaning he is also the commander-in-chief, and this gives him almost unlimited power. Yes, he is checked by the Supreme Court, but those are people he appoints. So the bigger purpose. Its bigger purpose comes from Duterte wanting the people to be afraid of drugs, wanting them to also be in fear of their government, what the government is powerful, what the government can do. And I think that this is dangerous because people will never speak out against oppression such as this. And that's why it's very important to look at it in many perspectives. Yes, some may see it as a way to reform the country and lessen crime, while others see it as a way of their oppressors getting to them easier.
3 million drug addicts. I'd be happy to slaughter them.